right, well, hands shaken in the end as Arsenal have to split the points with Sunderland. Just have a look at all of these records that kind of came tumbling, or all these streaks rather. A 10-game winning streak for Arsenal in all competitions snapped. 811-minute shutout streak snapped. We know how solid Arsenal's defense have been, and this is the first time that they're conceding 2 goals in 18 games. The last time they did that was back in May this year against Liverpool. So let's have a look at the top of the Premier League standings. Arsenal still very much in front, but Manchester City and Liverpool could definitely gain some ground on them. And as for Sunderland, they are still in the top 4. The Stadium of Light, I'm sure, was a very happy place. And someone who knows exactly how that feels is our Don Hutchison, who is joining us right now. Don, we'll get to you in a bit, but Stevie, I want to start with you because we just had a look at all of those stats, all of those streaks that Sunderland managed to do. How did they manage to do it when so many other teams have tried and failed to get at this Arsenal?
Well, they did it because they are as big and as strong and as physical as Arsenal are. I said a couple of weeks ago that I thought Arsenal were the most physical side in Europe. And today, Sunderland matched that. And that's why they got the point. You know, they didn't get the point because they tried to match up and play silky soccer. They did it because they played smart. Other than the equalising goal that Arsenal got, Sunderland didn't try and pass the ball out from the back. They used their brains. They got the ball forward. And when I say they got it forward, they didn't just boot it. They actually dropped balls in to Isidore, the centre forward, who was fantastic at holding the ball up. Gabriel and Saliba were all over him, but he held them off and then he played people in. I mean, in that first half, that was absolutely in the face of Arsenal, physically, mentally. I mean, I've never seen a first half with so many stoppages for head injuries. That tells you how physical this game was, and certainly what the majority of it was, which was balls in the air. And that absolutely played into Sunderland's hands. So Sunderland absolutely, I think, deserved the point in the end, but they got it because they had heart, they had soul, desire and fight, and they never, never at any stage let Arsenal bully them.
Heart, desire, soul, fight, all those things that Don Hutchison knows exactly what it's like when you wear that Sunderland badge on your chest. Don, how did Sunderland do this? Have we just seen a perfect blueprint for how you can take the game to Arsenal?
Correct. I think the only problem with that is there's not many teams in the Premier League that are willing to use that blueprint because everyone tries to play it from the back. As Stevie said, everyone's transfixed with goalkeepers playing at the centre-backs, going into midfield, taking chances. Sunderland just bypassed that. They went long. They played in the second half when they went 2-1 down. They actually played good football. They didn't just launch it in the box, but they played smart at the right times. I've never seen an Arsenal side so rattled. I think that's the takeaway from today's game. Arsenal were really rattled today. Now, I would give Arsenal a little bit of credit for standing up to Sunderland's fight because they showed their quality. They were willing to get the ball down and try and go toe-to-toe with Sunderland, match that fight, and then normally the cream rises to the top, and they got themselves in the lead with a Trossard brilliant finish. Then it was all about can Sunderland react, and then because I think Sunderland did, it forced Mikel Arteta into changes. He took midfield players off. He brought Mosquera on. He realised at 2-1 it was going to be a fight for 10-15 minutes at the end of the game. They just couldn't hold on. But I have to say, Sunderland were brilliant today. I mean, you know, styles make fights. It was contrasting styles, and Sunderland were brilliant, and the atmosphere was off the charts at the Stadium of Light. So, fantastic game of football to watch.
Yeah, that atmosphere, that stadium, you can hear it almost coming through the TV. But Shaka, from the Arsenal perspective, is it kind of a good or a bad thing that they suffer this sort of blow before the international break, that they can have time to regroup?
Listen, as ever with these things, time will tell. It's all about how you respond to kind of given the streak that Arsenal were on, not just in terms of winning, but in terms of keeping clean sheets. I know that's broken. How do you respond to that? This is an Arsenal team I still think are built to win the Premier League. It's still theirs to lose, but it's in these moments that this will be defined. How do you regather your thoughts? How do you go about your business as you did before? No, there are absolutely no suggestions that Arsenal are going to crumble because of this. Let's be honest. I thought it was an outstanding defensive performance by them, but similarly, I just thought Sunderland were very good on the day, and it was an outstanding game of football that both teams played their part in. You get a little bit I don't want to say unlucky, because Ballard was deserving. Sunderland were deserving to take the lead in that.
It was a bit of a throwback, wasn't it?
It was. It was.
Good old days of football.
But
Aye. Sorry, Shaq.
no, to that point, I thought early in the game, Sunderland closed Arsenal down. I mean, the free kick came with a closing down, and then a foul on by Zubamendi that brought the free kick and then the goal. But I thought in that first half, Sunderland were the better team at closing the opponent down. We know Arsenal can do it, but I thought Sunderland were better than them at least in the first 45. And credit to Arteta, because come on the second half, the tables were completely reversed, and Arsenal were deserving of taking the lead. It's only as the game dragged on and you got later and later that Arsenal started to drop deeper and deeper. And then fourth official puts up 7 minutes and the Stadium of Light just erupts. And that was telling. I felt so much of that. Talk about the crowd playing its part. Sunderland, I thought, in the end, deserving of their point.
Arsenal should look at the big picture here. Now, Arteta, and like every other coach, thinks they're going to win every time they step on the field. But we know that's not realistic. That doesn't happen. And so you're going to drop points along the way. And if you're Arsenal and you're Arteta, you have to be rational about this. You dropped 2 points today because the opposition got 2 breaks when they needed it and you didn't. It's not about the structure was wrong. It's not about they were poor. It's not about anything other than Sunderland put some pressure on in their penalty box and got a couple of breaks with second balls. That's where the goals... Sunderland's goals didn't come from lovely, flowing, attacking football. You know, it was balls thrown in the box. And so, if you're Arteta, you've got to look at the big picture and just put this one down to, you know what? Every other team has got to go to Sunderland and face the same thing.
Yeah.
Today we didn't get the break. That shouldn't derail us from winning the Premier League title.
Well, Don, I know that Sunderland is one of your former 3,500 teams that you played for. And our producer, Mike, says 600. It's only the 600. Yeah. I exaggerated a little. Our producer, Mike, says that you were absolutely annoying him, telling him that this was going to be a difficult game for Arsenal. Arneda Manua also said the same thing. But you saw this coming, so this doesn't surprise you one bit, does it?
I did. I think Stevie and Shaka might have been on the show with Ali last week, and I said, this might be a test. And Ali Moreno laughed me off. He laughed me off thinking Arsenal were going to roll up or rock up to the Stadium Light and just turn them over. Chances are they probably were. On another day, they might have when Zubamendi hit the bar. But what I was trying to say in the context of the next 2 or 3, 4 games, a difficult away game at Sunderland at Stadium Light. So they've passed a little bit of a test by coming away with a point. The 3 games that they've coming up, which I was trying to allude to last week, 3 London derbies Arsenal have got. So after the international break, they've got to make sure, and I'm pretty sure Mikel Arteta will have eyes all across the world, hoping his players come back fit and strong for those 3 games. That's going to be the immediate test because, as Stevie said, when you evaluate what's happened early on in the context of the first part of the season, Arsenal passed some serious tests. You know, they had a really difficult fixture list. They passed one against Man City at home, only just. They passed one at St James's Park when they could have lost that game, could have drew the game, but won it in the end. That was an amazing test for them mentally, and they've been on a terrific run. Then they've had about 4 or 5 games where they were expected to win and did. Now the test starts to come for them. So can they shake it off? I think they will, but the 3 London derbies will be a huge test for them.
Well, we saw 4 goals overall in this one. Of course, the Ballard goal, as Shaka was saying, just a striker's finish, really, as good as you'll see. But the Trossard goal, Stevie, that one was a nice one.
Yeah, it was a beautiful goal. And you know, Arsenal, if there was one part of Arsenal's game today that wasn't quite on fire, was the final third. Because they had plenty of the ball. Certainly, and definitely in the second half, they had Sunderland penned in. But they never really looked like breaking them down. That was the thing. And just that one occasion, when the fullback didn't get close enough to Trossard, he drops his shoulder, he gets a yard, and then you saw the explosive finish. I mean, what a strike. The goalkeeper had no chance. And again, that's the beauty of Arsenal. You know, if you want to fight, they'll fight you. But if you give them anything, they'll take advantage of it. And they did it with the 2 goals. Saka took advantage of a giveaway, and Trossard took advantage of the one occasion where he wasn't closed down properly. But yeah, what a finish.
The one complaint I'll have about Arsenal at this point, and I know I'm grabbing at straws here, is certainly domestically, Arsenal have not blown anybody out of the water. Domestically, it's always by a goal, no more than 2 goals. So even in the later stages, while Arsenal control the game so wonderfully well, one mistake, one bit of luck, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's game back on. Even at 2-0, team gets a goal in 85 minutes, and it's game back on. I would love to see Arsenal, and I think they play good enough football, to just absolutely batter somebody 3 or 4, game be over after 65, 70 minutes. But somehow, despite their dominance, they're just unable to do that domestically. They've done it in Europe, but just not against English opposition.